Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exclusive interview inside the locker room on 88.7 FM Radio Hofstra University. I'm Kayla Mckechnie, and today I'm pleased to be joined by the Vice President and Director of Athletics, Rick Cole Jr. Rick, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am good. So let's get right into it. First off, I want to start with the sport that's actually currently being played right now, which is men's and women's basketball. How do you think the seasons are going so far team-wise?
I think they're going very well. I think that I'm really proud of the commitment and effort that our athletes are making at a very interesting time. I believe that that it's really important for them as they are, staying very focused on their behaviors and staying as safe and as well as they can. I think that our coaches and our support staff are working tirelessly to make sure that the experience is a productive one, a safe one. And it really is so enjoyable, that first practice, those second practice, the first game, to watch our athletes return to the court they feeling productive and doing what they love and enjoying it so much. It certainly is not a perfect scenario for anyone, but we're excited. And it's early in the season, and I think we've got about 12 and 13 games, if my memory is correct. I think the men have 13 and the women have 12, which, knock wood, has been a success in and of itself compared to some of the other teams that are out there. But really proud and excited for them, mostly because they are so excited. They are working so hard and they are loving every minute.
I've had the opportunity to actually call 2 of the women's basketball games, and even if there's just cardboard cutouts in the stands, it feels good to be back in some sort of way, and I'm sure the athletes feel the same way.
No question.
So what was the mindset behind trying to bring basketball back and come up with COVID protocols so that the sport could be played safely in these strange times?
I think, society in general is trying to figure out how we go about our everyday business, right? And sport is part of that. Higher ed is part of that. And, the medical professionals that we work with closely talk about that. It appears that, the general consensus is that it's not being passed through sport, but yet being, in the meet, greet, and eat environment where people are in social environments that are probably not the best situation for, that would lead to the spread of the virus. So the mindset was, we kept asking the question, what's the right thing to do, step by step, talk to the medical folks, talk to our coaches, our athletes, giving the athletes the opportunity, that letting them know you do not have to participate. This is something they want. This is something that is important to them. And if they had any interest at all in opting out, they could, and we would support them 100%. So the mindset was, what is the right thing to do? We continue to monitor everything day by day, week by week. And I think that everybody's had to remain nimble and flexible. And this new normal of, our jobs are very different than a year ago. We still have to do those jobs, but now there's the process of COVID and how we navigate that as an institution, as a department, and as a society.
Speaking of those COVID protocols, how has it been since play and practice of the sports has resumed, and dealing with it and making sure that all of the guidelines are followed?
Sure. I think we talk about it in multiple meetings a week. I mean, there's not a meeting that goes where we don't reiterate the obvious, and we don't talk about the reiteration of expectations and protocols and behaviors. We also reevaluate as we're going to make sure we're doing the right things. And as we learn more, we know more, we can do better. So I think it's going very well. The system, the actual, the multiple systems that you have to go through, whether it be testing, whether it be travel, whether it be masks, whether it be this, whether it be cleaning, is working. And we've challenged ourselves to be very critical to see if we can improve in any way all the time. And I think that's a healthy mindset to have with COVID or without COVID. You always should be evaluating how you can be doing better.
How did the athletes and staff react to having to make these changes that the pandemic has brought to the world of sports? I mean, I know you mentioned people being able to opt out if they were comfortable doing so, but was it a difficult change? Was it a swift change?
I think they reacted because they desperately wanted to play. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to sacrifice to to do whatever, they're following the rules. They're doing what they need to do, and they need to, because if we don't follow the rules, we're not going to be playing. It's just nothing's worth it. You have to try to be the very best version of ourselves under the current climate, and that's a commitment to our own health and the health and safety of each other and our community that we live. So the transition was, everybody listened attentively and eyes and ears, and said, even try to give some feedback. And not only are we trying to have a discussion of, hey, you can't do this, but what can we do? What are the ways in which we can and try to make this as a healthy but productive and positive experience on and off the court or the mat or the field. So those conversations go on. We have the conversations with our athletes. We have the conversations with our coaches, our staff, everyone.
Something else that the Department of Athletics was able to do in the midst of the pandemic was start the No Locker for Racism initiative, which was a movement that looks to combat racism in the sports world. For those who don't know, I actually got the opportunity to speak to the initiative's founder, assistant field hockey coach Courtney Dina, and she had mentioned to me a few months ago the Department of Athletics were huge supporters of her idea and really helped bring it to life. So how did you guys react to that initial idea, and how does it feel to see the movement now grow beyond Hofstra's campus?
I'm losing track of months, but about 18 months ago, or maybe it's even a little bit longer now, one of the important initiatives was us trying to have a very more robust and meaningful diversity and inclusion campaign strategy. And other than just checking a box about, training and all those kind of things, we wanted to talk about an ongoing process of education, inclusion, expectations. So, it was a no-brainer. It's a wonderful program. It's a great platform. It keeps in the forefront the discussion of the culture and expectations we want as part of our program. It continues the conversation and allows us an opportunity to get in uncomfortable conversations, not just No Locker for Racism, but the conversation of diversity and inclusion, and trying to have the aspirational goal of having a Hofstra for all. Because if we're not a Hofstra for all, then we're not a Hofstra for anyone, in my opinion. But I do think that what is most important is conversation, discussions, understanding, listening. And I think this platform helps us do that. And I'm incredibly proud, not only of Courtney, but our diversity and inclusion committee, how we're going about being very critical about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and that it's an ongoing process, and that a platform was built that could be shared. It doesn't, imitation could be the greatest form of flattery, but we don't need to reinvent the wheel. A no locker for racism. Tell me somebody who thinks we should have a locker for racism. It's just so purposeful, but it brings up the conversations that can continue to make people understand different perspectives, understand the responsibility of their words and their behaviors and their actions, whether micro or macro. So I'm really proud of that. We're committed to an ongoing discussion, ongoing training, and trying to keep at the forefront our commitment to being better, our commitment to learning, our commitment to listening.
I think for me, even as a student, it's really cool to see us start something like this and see that's moved past our own campus, and see that other schools are also starting this, and that we were able to kind of start that conversation and make conversations uncomfortable, which for me, I'm really proud of, to say that our school did that. And I'm sure you are as well.
Malloy College is right down the block, right? They're a Division II institution. Their AD is magnificent. They do great stuff, and you always think you're in competition, right? You want to be better. You want WRHU to be better than look, we're competitors, whether it's on the field or doing what you do or in business. There's some things we're all in the same, how can you help? Well, we can help by sharing good things and learning from each other. And Malloy just announced their No Locker for Racism campaign. We have high schools throughout Long Island inquiring about it. So, and they could put their logo on it. It doesn't have to be ours. Like we take Hofstra out, we put Malloy, we put Brentwood, we put somebody else in, because we want people to use the platform. So yeah, I'm very proud of it too.
We've talked about stuff that's been going on right now. We've talked about stuff that happened a few months ago. I want to move to the future now. As we mentioned, basketball is currently being played along with wrestling. That just started up maybe a few days ago. They were able to finally get on the mat. Are there any plans for any of the fall sports to be brought back and finally start?
So all of our sports are coming back as of now. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting semester. We're going to have all sports at Hofstra going at once. The championship. It appears that'll be a more reduced season, just of where the championship falls. But we're doing the best we can. We're gonna be 7 days a week for the whole semester. So that's a good problem to have. And I pray that that is going to be the case, and that we're all going to be able to be safe. And I think we're all, as a society, just looking for the good and trying to do our part to ensure that we're providing this a safe environment as we can. But this spring we're going to have soccer, volleyball. There'll be a cross country championship with the CAA. So it's going to be an interesting navigation, but we're up for the challenge.
You kind of just answered it, but I'm going to just ask it anyway, just to confirm. So unlike the fall sports, spring sports do have the opportunity to start their seasons on a somewhat normal schedule, because this is typically when they would have to start playing anyway. What are the plans for the spring sports opposed to the fall sports?
Sure, they're all back. Everybody's coming back on the 23rd, 24th, just like the rest of the students. There's some slots for athletes to get tested for their return to campus, and then they do their medical clearance, compliance clearance, and then the week of the 25th, depending on the sport, they start. So it's the campus just isn't the same, right? Without students, the campus just isn't the same without our athletes. So when they come back and the chaos ensues and how busy we're going to be, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're incredibly busy right now. But that's what we're all about. That's what we're here for, right? And I find myself sometimes stating the obvious expressions or sayings, but we're here because and for of our students and our student athletes, and I can't wait for the craziness on the 23rd and 24th.
So when you say 23rd and 24th, you mean of this month, January, correct?
Yeah. So just like how there's the rollout of every day's testing, right up until move in, and so we're just a part of that process. And the majority of our athletes will probably test on those days, but so preseason will start on the 25th, 26th ish. Once they get through medical testing, medical clearance, compliance clearance, first practice.
And this is for every sport right now?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. So finally, are there any events coming up in the near future that Hofstra fans should be aware of?
Well, I think we've got a bunch of events coming up, and I mean, the funny part is that I don't, as you're aware, right, that every Saturday and Sunday, for the most part, we have a basketball game at home. So you can go to our website and you can link into that, and I know that we are working really hard on promoting the homecoming and virtual sellout. You can go to gohofstra.com and look for that as well. One of the challenges we have, right, is that, and it's not a complaint, it just is what it is, right, is that, it's not permissible to have fans in person in New York State for college athletics. So that's a missing piece, right, because it's the institution's athletic program, and the communities. But so we're just, as soon as every Saturday and Sunday, I get so excited every time the ball tips, and then we get right into our normal competitive self and win every game. But before you know it, we'll be mid to late February and all the games will be going. So I just encourage you all to stay on. If you're not following us on social media, please do. And you can always go old school and go to the website and get the schedule. But it's going to be fast and furious.
Rick, thank you so much for joining me today here on The Locker Room, 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University, and for answering some of my burning questions regarding the current state of sports amidst the pandemic.
No worries, Kayla. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and we certainly appreciate all you guys do. Thank you.
Yeah, no pride.